It was 2008 in the community of Dawson County, Georgia, when Meredith Emerson, age 24, decided to go hiking near Blood Mountain in the Chattahootchie National Forest. When she failed to return home on January 2nd, her friends quickly mobilized to search for her, but their efforts yielded no results. Search and rescue teams were deployed to scour the area where she was last seen, a well-worn path leading to the Appalachian Trail. Witnesses reported that she had been conversing with an older man wearing a yellow jacket who was accompanied by a dog. Meanwhile, Meredith's parents traveled from Longmont, Colorado, anxiously awaiting news about their daughter. They described her as spirited and sociable, confident in her outdoor skills, and believed that if anyone could endure the frigid night temperatures, it was her. On January 3, 2008, authorities discovered Meredith's 1995 Chevrolet Cavalier, which contained several personal items including her water bottle, a dog leash, and a police baton, but there was no sign of Meredith's whereabouts. What could have happened to Meredith Emerson? What led to her sudden disappearance? Before I dive deeper into the story, welcome back to the channel. Or if this is your first time, welcome to the channel. In this video, I will explore the unsettling details surrounding Meredith's case. Drawing from my experience as a former police officer, I will reveal the shocking facts, analyze the intricate evidence, and delve into the eerie elements of this story. Meredith Emerson was born in Charleston, South Carolina, and spent her formative years in Holly Springs, North Carolina, a suburb of Raleigh, and Longmont, Colorado, nestled at the foot of the Rocky Mountains. In 2005, she graduated with honors from the University of Georgia, where she received the prestigious Cecil Wilcox Award for Excellence, earning a degree in French. She had the opportunity to study abroad in France and was an active member of the French Honor Society Pi Delta Pi. Those who knew her well described Meredith as both fit and friendly. Standing at 5 feet 2 inches and weighing 120 pounds, she maintained her physique through martial arts practice and regular hiking. The hiker who was seen with her was an older gentleman with silver hair accompanied by a dog. He wore a patch yellow jacket and carried a black backpack. His name was Gary Michael Hilton, a frequent visitor to the hiking trails in the southeastern United States, particularly in the National Forest of North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. Born on November 22, 1946 in Atlanta, Georgia, Hilton was the son of William E. Hilton and Cleo M. Reynolds. He was raised as an only child by his mother and stepfather, Nilo DeBag. Records indicate that Hilton experienced a tumultuous home life and had a varied criminal history. In a notable act of violence at the age of 13 in 1959, Hilton shot his stepfather, whom he believed had taken his mother away from him. Fortunately, he did not kill DeBag, who was merely wounded. DeBag chose to forgive Hilton and did not pursue charges against him. Hilton was briefly hospitalized for the incident before being released. During his youth, he also suffered a severe injury when a Murphy bed scalped him, requiring 200 stitches and a hospital stay for recovery. Hilton enlisted in the Army in 1964. Military records show that he spent time in Germany, where he received basic airborne training and earned his GED. However, during his service, Hilton began to hear voices and eventually experienced a severe schizophrenic breakdown. The Army admitted him to a mental hospital where he was treated with Thorazine. Instead of receiving a Section 8 psychiatric discharge, the Army opted to honorably discharge him. He married his first wife, Sue, in 1969 in DeKalb County, Georgia, but they divorced in 1971 in Miami, Florida. Between 1971 and 1979, he remarried and divorced 2 more times. His third wife worked as security at Stone Mountain Park, a sprawling 3,000-acre area near Atlanta known for its camping, hiking, wooded trails, lake, and family-friendly attractions, including a prominent peak featuring carvings of Confederate soldiers. In 1973, Hilton faced a DUI conviction in Miami-Dade County, resulting in a 1-year revocation of his Florida driver's license, which he never sought to reinstate. In 1983, he was convicted in Clayton County, Georgia for carrying a firearm without a license during a trial related to a drug charge. When questioned in court about his reason for carrying a gun, he claimed he did not need one but had it for protection. In 1994, at the age of 48, Hilton was charged with 21 counts of solicitation, to which he pleaded guilty, resulting in a $50 fine. In 1995, Hilton was arrested in DeKalb County, Georgia for stealing books he was supposed to sell for the American Book Display Company. Instead, he attempted to sell them for his own gain at a local flea market. He pleaded guilty to multiple counts of theft by taking and received a sentence of 5 years of probation. Chris C. Johnson, a man who rented a room to Hilton for several months in 1995 in the Marietta, Georgia area, later described him as a weird character. Hilton had a passion for the outdoors, enjoying hiking, camping, and often residing in the forests and mountains of the southern and southeastern United States. He was also fond of dogs and had a dog named Dandy. While walking down a hiking trail with Meredith and her dogs, Hilton's behavior began to shift dramatically. He attempted to abduct Meredith, but Meredith, trained in martial arts, fought back. Despite her strong resistance, Hilton, who had received hand-to-hand combat training during his army service, ultimately overpowered her. Once he had subdued her, he forced her down the mountain and into his van. On Saturday, 17 search teams scoured a 5-mile area surrounding the mountain in search of any trace of Meredith. Earlier in the week, authorities had been conducting searches across a 400 square mile section of the forest. By late Saturday afternoon, a Superior Court judge in Union County had issued an arrest warrant for Hilton on charges of kidnapping with the intent to inflict bodily harm. In the course of their investigation into the Meredith Emerson case, authorities released Hilton's name and photograph to the public, which led to contact from Samuel Rael, an attorney who had previously represented Hilton in minor legal matters. Rael disclosed that he and Hilton had collaborated on a low-budget direct-to-video film titled Deadly Run, which centers around a serial killer who preys on women in the woods. Since the mid-1980s, Rael had defended Hilton in various court cases involving offenses such as arson, trespassing, and solicitation of fraudulent charitable donations. He noted that Hilton, whom he regarded as a consultant for the film, conceived the idea of the main character releasing a woman into the woods to be hunted, and also played a role in casting and securing the cabin location near Cleveland, Georgia, where much of the filming took place. Hilton was apprehended around 8 p.m. on a Friday at a convenience store in North DeKalb County, suburban Atlanta, after police identified his white van in the parking lot. According to DeKalb County Police Information Officer Mecca Parrish, authorities received 2 911 calls around 7:40 p.m. reporting a man matching Hilton's description at a Chevron gas station.
DeKalb 911, what's the exact location?
I have the person of interest in that missing woman case is at this Chevron gas station on Ashford Dunwoody.
Chevron gas station at Ashford Dunwoody?
Yeah.
You said the van is there?
The van is here. The dog is here, the red dog, and I saw the man's face, and I've been watching the news, and I know it's him. He's got a green long sleeve sweatshirt, and he's wearing a hat, and he's emptying all this stuff out of his van. Pillows and a blanket, and it looks like he's got a sleeping bag right now. Taking it all to the trash. It's definitely,
and the dumpster is
looking around like he is as guilty as sin.
Okay, sir, and the dumpster is at the rear of the location?
Yeah, the dumpster, well, it's kind of right in the front. It's right by the car wash.
Okay.
I can go take him down if you want.
No, sir, stay right there.
Okay.
Okay, hold on, sir.
He looks like he's finishing up. You guys gotta hurry. He's got stuff in bags that he's emptied onto the ground, and he's taking load by load to the dumpster behind the car wash. This is the third backpack we've seen him take to the dumpster. Oh, I'm just shaking. You guys, is there somebody en route?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Here comes the cops. Yes.
Yes. Police are there?
Yes. Yes. They got him.
They got him?
I mean, they don't have him yet, but they're getting out. So they got him now. Here, 2 cruisers pulled up on him. 2 of the cab's finest.
Earlier that day, Ella, Meredith's black Labrador mix who had accompanied her on the hike, was discovered in the parking lot of a Kroger grocery store. Investigators took Ella to a veterinarian who scanned her for a microchip and confirmed that she was Meredith's pet. In Hilton's white Chevy Astro van, authorities discovered 3 blood-stained fleece shirts, Meredith's wallet along with her University of Georgia identification card, and a bloody seatbelt in a nearby trash receptacle. The police also reported that Hilton attempted to use Meredith's ATM card. In 2005, approximately 2 years prior to his first murder, Gary Hilton abandoned a van in the Trade Mountain region of White County, Georgia. He received a citation for this act, but failed to respond, leading to a warrant for his arrest being issued and entered into the federal database. Before his descent into murder, the most negative characterization of Hilton was that he was a con artist and a petty thief. However, this was supposedly changed dramatically when a physician in Georgia prescribed him Ritalin, despite his lack of a diagnosis for ADD. In Georgia, Hilton had spent several years working as a tin man for John Tabor. Tabor not only employed Hilton, but also providing him with housing on one of his properties. During this period, a physician prescribed Ritalin to Hilton, even though he did not have ADD. Shortly after starting the medication, which acts as a stimulant for individuals without ADD, Hilton's behavior shifted. He became irritable and confrontational, even threatening Tabor with violence. It wasn't long before he lost his job and his residence on Tabor's property. With no place to stay, Hilton took to the road in his Chevy Astrovan with Dandy, his dog. He favored national parks as destinations, departing Georgia in 2007 and entering North Carolina's Pisgah National Park. The circumstances surrounding his acquaintance with Irene and John Bryant, a couple married for 55 years, remain unclear. It is established that shortly after the couple embarked on a hiking trip on October 20, 2007, they vanished. Their ATM card was later used at a bank located 75 miles away. Irene's body was discovered approximately 3 weeks later on November 9th, with multiple fractures to her skull. John, however, remained unaccounted for, and his remains would not be located until 2008. In the meantime, Hilton departed North Carolina and traveled south into Georgia. He set up camp on a private hunting preserve in Cherokee County. A local resident observed him and reported his presence to the authorities. A deputy was dispatched to remove Hilton from the property. Upon arrival, the deputy checked Hilton's license against a state database, finding no active warrants in Georgia. At that time, there was no obligation to check the federal database, so this step was not taken. Had Hilton's license been verified federally, the deputy would have discovered an outstanding warrant related to an unresolved citation from 2005. This would have led to Hilton's immediate arrest, potentially saving 2 lives and concluding this narrative here. Regrettably, that was not the outcome. The deputy instructed Hilton to gather his belongings and leave the area, allowing him to go on his way. After departing Cherokee County, Hilton continued south, crossing into Florida and entering the Apprehension National Forest near Tallahassee by mid-November. Despite encountering a Park Service officer on November 17th, Hilton was merely issued a warning regarding the park's 14-day camping limit. Once again, his name was not checked against the federal database for any outstanding warrants.
Authorities in western North Carolina say they have now linked Gary Michael Hilton to the slaying of an elderly North Carolina woman and the disappearance of her husband. The body of 84-year-old Irene Bryant was discovered on November 9th in the North Carolina woods, and her husband, 80-year-old John, is still missing. Hilton was recently charged with killing 24-year-old Meredith Emerson, whose body was found more than a week ago in a Georgia state forest. But authorities will not say how they connected the two cases.
Due to the complexity of the Bryant investigation and the continuing investigations in other states, details regarding the timing or venue of criminal charges will not be released at this time.
Like Emerson, Bryant died of a blow to the head, and her body was found near a hiking trail. A neighbor of the couple says he's not surprised by the new development.
My first instinct was yes, because there were some similarities with they were both in hiking and woods, and then as more details came out, then we started suspecting that there could be a possible link.
The circumstances surrounding the abduction of 46-year-old nurse Cheryl Dunlap by Hilton on December 1, 2007 in the Apprehension National Forest remain unclear. Standing at 5 feet 4 inches, Dunlap had thick, wavy brown hair and brown eyes. She was a dedicated mother and an active member of the Evangelical Christian River of Life Church. Shortly after her disappearance, her vehicle was discovered with a flat tire on a Crawfordville highway parked just outside the entrance to the park. It is believed she may have been trying to flag down assistance when Hilton encountered her. A few days following the discovery of Dunlap's car, surveillance footage emerged showing a man wearing a rubber mask attempting to use her bank card at local ATMs. On December 15th, park rangers in Apalachicola noticed buzzards scavenging a large carcass. As they approached, they realized it was the body of a woman, marked by severe wounds on her torso and legs. Disturbingly, they observed that both hands were severed and the head was missing. The remains were ultimately identified as those of the missing Cheryl Dunlap. While law enforcement searched for evidence to apprehend the killer, Hilton fled the area. By the end of 2007, he had returned to Georgia, just in time for New Year's Eve celebrations. On January 1st, 2008, Hilton and his dog Dandy embarked on a hike at Blood Mountain near Atlanta, where they encountered Meredith Emerson, who was also out for a New Year's Day walk with her dog. Upon his arrest at a gas station, Hilton did not resist as law enforcement took him into custody. Shortly thereafter, he was placed in an interview room and handed over to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Eager to negotiate a plea deal, he confessed to the murder of Meredith. After reaching an agreement with prosecutors that spared him from the death penalty, Hilton guided investigators to Meredith's remains on January 7, 2008, located near Dawsonville. Authorities reported that her head had been severed. An autopsy indicated that Meredith was likely killed on January 4th, a revelation that deeply affected the police officer and volunteers who had been searching for her since January 1st. Hilton stated that he had abducted her to steal her bank cards and PIN, claiming he struck her multiple times with a tire iron, leading to her death. According to Dr. Chris Sperry, Georgia's chief medical examiner, Meredith succumbed to blunt force trauma to the head before being decapitated. Authorities also reported that she had been sexually assaulted by Hilton. During nearly 5 hours of questioning, Hilton recounted that Meredith fought back during the attack, yelling and utilizing her martial arts training to defend herself. She had earned a blue belt in Aikido and was awarded a black belt posthumously. He claimed she nearly escaped but was ultimately subdued when she lost her balance. Hilton admitted that he targeted her because she was a woman and noted that they had hiked together until she outpaced him. He then waited for her on the trail, intending to rob her of her ATM card as she returned to her vehicle. He confessed to taking Meredith from the parking lot in his van and later returning at her request to pick up Ella, who had been left behind. He drove her to several banks where he attempted to use her ATM card unsuccessfully. Police suspected she was deliberately providing him with incorrect PIN numbers to delay him. Unfortunately, no one at the banks or law enforcement intervened in time. Ultimately, Hilton surrendered and transported Meredith to a remote area where for 3 consecutive days she provided him with false ATM PIN codes, seemingly to buy time for her rescuers. Hilton recounted to investigators that he grew weary of waiting for the correct PIN, prompting him to inform Meredith that he was taking her home. However, he acknowledged that releasing her was not an option, as she had seen his face in vehicle and possessed significant knowledge about him. Instead, while she was bound to a tree, he struck her multiple times on the head with a car jack handle to end her life, subsequently decapitating her. He concealed her body with leaves and then drove over an hour to another wooded location to dispose of her head. He claimed he could not bring himself to kill Ella and chose to let her go. Hilton ultimately received a life sentence for the murders of Meredith Emerson and John and Irene Bryant, while he was sentenced to death for the murder of Cheryl Dunlap. At the time, he was 64 years old. On February 25, 2010, Fred Rosen, a reporter for Hustler magazine, requested the crime scene and autopsy photos of Meredith through an open records request submitted to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. The victim's family, represented by attorney Lindsay Haight, sought to have this request denied. In March 2010, DeKalb County Superior Court Judge Daniel Corsi issued a temporary injunction preventing the GBI from releasing any and all photographs, visual images, or depictions of Meredith Emerson that show her in an unclothed or dismembered condition. The ruling coincided with the unanimous passage of the Meredith Emerson Memorial Privacy Act by the Georgia House Governmental Affairs Committee, which prohibits the public release or distribution of crime scene images. House Bill 1322 specifically restricts the dissemination of images depicting victims in states that are nude, bruised, bloodied, or in a broken state with open wounds, dismemberment, or decapitation. While Hilton remains incarcerated, it is important to acknowledge the profound effect Meredith's death has had on her family and the wider community. In the wake of her passing, over 400 individuals gathered at Central Presbyterian Church in Athens, Georgia to participate in a heartfelt memorial service honoring Meredith. Friends and acquaintances of Meredith shared their memories of a vibrant, humorous, and engaging young woman who easily formed connections with others. Reverend Robert Bowler Jr. noted that Meredith's tragic story resonated with many people both nationally and internationally. He recounted receiving a prayer email from Australia expressing that it would not surprise him if millions had offered prayers for her. District Attorney Lee Dara, who was involved in the prosecution, remarked, "I've witnessed numerous tragic homicides, but this case stands out, not only due to the remarkable person Meredith was, but the immense loss felt by her family and community, but also because of the heinous and malevolent actions of Gary Hilton." Meredith's mother, Susan Emerson, said following sentencing, she was not sorry that the death penalty was taken off the table. That would have been an easy out for this menace. Let him stay alive and slowly rot, she said. On behalf of Meredith, the University of Georgia created the Meredith Hope Emerson Memorial Award for Study Abroad, which is awarded to students to study French in a French-speaking country, just like Meredith did. May Meredith Emerson rest in peace, knowing her killer was brought to justice. This concludes today's story. For more real-life true stories, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time.